Okay. Hold on. We're going to do this over. Okay. Now, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I definitely did. But this is the favorite part of my week, to sit down with you guys and an amazing guest. And tonight is no different. Tonight we have she's a psalmist, she's a minister, motivational speaker, she's a entrepreneur. She is just an all around good soul. Her personality and love for God is just infectious. I haven't had a guest that was just so enthusiastic, to say the least. And I was very excited to sit down with this young lady. This is Miss Valerie Montanez. But I don't want to steal all the thunder, because we still have an interview to do. But for those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Montanez, I'm going to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background of who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, Miss Valerie, you have the floor.
Well, good evening, everybody. And thank you so much, Mr. Robinson, for having me. God certainly has a way of connecting people to accomplish what he wants a word sent, or just to be an encouragement and a blessing to many people. I'm a music minister, a Christian recording gospel artist. But before we start going on to like, this is what I do, I'm simply a vessel of God. I'm just a woman who's after God's heart. That's it. I'm a woman who is on a mission to give the praises, to lift up the name of Jesus, and to use my gifts and talents, and to allow God for him to get the credit, and to allow for him to use me. So gospel recording Christian artist. I've done women's conferences ministering to the youth, to young women, to women. And, when coming from a really rough background, and then, when I gave my life over to the Lord, well, I have so much to say. I can witness, I can testify, and to spread the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's awesome. So listen, we're going to start from the beginning. Well, this is how I usually ask the question. How much time was it between the time that you realized you had a musical gift? How much time elapsed between that moment and the moment where you felt like it was time for you to kind of unleash yourself on the people, or that you felt like you were quote unquote good enough, or whatever the case? How much time passed? When did you feel like you were, ready?
It started at an early age. And so I was listening to Janet Jackson, right?
Okay.
I spent a lot of time in my room. My mom and dad, I wasn't brought up in a Christian home, but my daddy played music. He had a band. So he had a big influence over my life. And he took it very serious with music. So that was my time of spending with my father, and having that bond was with music. And he sang, he played the guitar, he played the bass guitar, and he started to teach me at a really early age. Now, I didn't realize I had a gift to sing until my dad got me a record player, and I started to listen to Janet Jackson. Control. So I was learning and I was rehearsing, and I just had such a passion. I found such a love for it. And my dad started to notice that, and then he had me singing with his band. So here I was, a young adult, I mean, I was, no, excuse me, I was a teenager still. And my dad had me in the bars. I was part of the band. He treated me like one of the band members. And
Wow.
he really saw that gift and helped coin that in. So here I am traveling with my dad, going to country bars and just going to little small bars in small towns, traveling and singing. So that's where it all began. And I was one of the gals. I would be any opportunity, in music shows or talent shows, and I loved it. It was my place where I could be free and I could vocally express myself with music. And I like to see people cheer up. I really did how impact music is influential. And then, once I once I gave my life over to the Lord, God was calling me, as an adult. And then I heard him say one day, I was watching a praise and worship team at this big church I started going to in Illinois.
Mhm.
And I heard his voice, and I heard it just like you're talking to me, Mike. And I'm sitting there in the pew. I'm sitting there and I hear God say, "You see what they're doing up there?" And I'm looking around. I'm pregnant. And I have my kids with me, and I'm watching. He goes, "Look up there. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be giving me the praises and singing for me." And that was the beginning. And that's when I knew that, okay, this is part of what God is calling me to do. But it hasn't been easy. It seemed like things just got rougher and tougher, but it's been a journey and it's been all worth it.
Awesome. 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 So so now you are in this quote unquote industry. Um and you've actually released music 2019, brand new, right?
Correct.
um what was your first experience like actually putting your own music out, and it's Christian music? Like what was your initial experience like? Was it good, or was it like challenging? Did you have
Hmm.
to?
Yes. When you're doing things for God,
Mhm.
right? When you're doing when and it can be a very lonely place.
Okay.
And it was all challenges. There was so many hardships, being a single mom and not having the finances. And here's God is leading me to work with, and he used somebody. God will use man. He will bring us together. I didn't do this alone. God sent somebody to me from Nigeria who is a music producer, a good friend of mine by the name of Aloysius Aquibo. And he is creative. I'm telling you, this man's on fire for the Lord. And God brought him into my life. And he knew. He was like, "Val, God is God's got some big things in store for you. Get ready." He goes, "God's going to use you he's going to use that voice." And it was so I couldn't fathom. I'm seriously, because I'm fearful. I've never written music. I was saying the music I sang was uh, rock and roll, classic, country, all those other things. But here I'm being led to do the Christian music, the music that's going to lift up the name
Mhm.
of Jesus. And it was a lonely journey. And a lot, so many, there's not going to be a lot of people. There wasn't a lot of people cheering me on. I went against people who opposed it, who didn't believe in me, who looked down on me. People can look at your condition and see, oh, look at she can't even hold it together. I mean, I was struggling, like Mike Robinson. I was struggling, I didn't know how I was going to pay for my rent. That's how hard it was. And I didn't know, I didn't have a job. But through it all, I had that energy, and I knew it was God helping me. And I went through it, and even relocated from Nebraska to Texas, and I didn't really know anybody. And God connected me with somebody in another town in Texas who had a recording studio. So we were able to collaborate and work through that. So it was easy, but the sacrifice of it. And when you're doing something like that, and you're not just rushing it, just trying to put a music, that's not what I was trying to do. Uh, when I was in my prayer closet and I'm spending time with my God, and I heard it in my spirit, the chorus of Brand New, and I just kept hearing it, it kept ringing inside of me, and I was like, my life is brand new, all things are passed away, I've been redeemed, I've been set free by the blood of the Lamb. And I just kept hearing that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a song. This is a song that's in the making. So I just took the words down. And that's where it began, was in Gearing, Nebraska, when I didn't have no job, when I really didn't have no friends. People were separating themselves from me. I had my best friend who was like, she blocked me, and just people walked away from me, and it was a very hurtful and lonely journey. But I
But why? But why though? Like because you.
I kept my eyes fixed on what I was.
But I'm sorry to cut you off. But why? Why? Like why would somebody turn away from you because you were doing Christian music? I mean,
Mhm.
why?
I look back now, and if I would have stayed near with them, some of those relationships, I probably wouldn't had really went all the way for it. Yeah, I would have been comfortable in my environment. I would have stayed near, and God knows what's best.
Mm-hmm,
And if I would have stayed and had these really close, loving relationships the way I desired, Brand New would have never came. I
mm-hmm.
had to go on. I had to leave. I had to go and up and leave and to leave to Texas. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I just know I was being nudged. Like I'm a woman who, if I hear God calling me to do something, I want to be obedient to it, even if it doesn't make sense, because that's what
Right.
faith is. And faith is, when you hear God, you're going to do, okay, yes, God, not my will, but yours. I don't look at it as a bad thing, walking away or people walking out of my life. It's like, okay, okay, who is the people you're bringing into my life to help me get to this next phase, or the right people who can help me accomplish what you've called me to do. They're very instrumental in my life, the people that have helped me.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Um, Going forward, um, so you released Brand New in 2019, and then fast forward to now, we have Proclaim.
Hmm.
Um, Even before we get into that, how what would how would you say that performing with your father prepared you for what you're doing now? What would you say? How would you say it prepared you? Like, what advantages did you have? What advantages did you gain from going to those bars and performing that music with your dad and everything? How did that prepare you, or did it?
I felt like I struggled a lot when I started to sing, and here I am doing gospel music. And it just seemed like when I was singing in the bars and I was singing, all the other music, it just came so easy to me, Mike. Like I would just flow. But there was something that was different, because life is spiritual. Okay, life is spiritual. So when you're now walking, and not to negate from your question, my father, I love spending time with him. So it correlates with my relationship with my heavenly father, right? I used to sing for the crowd. I used to sing because I just felt like it. Now I have a serious purpose and mission. I don't just give, sing my gift. I don't, you just use it to sing because I just like it for myself, or I want to see the crowd and I want to entertain. That's flesh, right? When I start singing for the Lord, now I'm doing it for a purpose. There's a greater calling. Um, and it's a privilege. I sing for an audience of one. That's God. And I just want to be used as a vessel so he can get the glory. Now, we're made in the image of God. He created us. So our gifts, our talents, our skills, these are to be used for the glory of God. And that is when you are going to find some opposition. It's not going to be easy because there is a force. We have a real enemy out there that's trying to stop, us advancing God's heavenly kingdom, and that is souls, and to inspire and to lift up those spirits. And so that's a big difference. But I really feel like my dad was very influential, and he really did. He did prepare me, but the spiritual battle, no. But that's what I got. That's what I've learned as a Christian and a pioneer, doing this in a music industry, right? That is not godly yet. There's some aspects of it that's not, but I'm showing up, and what matters is how I'm walking this out.
Okay. So sonically, you go from singing secular music to what you're doing now. So did you feel like once you started your creative process, did you feel like I can't use certain sounds anymore, or I can't use certain chords anymore? How conscious were you of the literal music and instruments that you were using? Did it change? Did your creative process change? I
Mhm.
mean, of course, the content and the message change, but I'm saying
Yes.
the building of the actual songs. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
can't use certain chords anymore. I can't use certain drum patterns anymore. I can't. Was that an issue or a challenge for you?
Well, for myself, when I hear the chords, here's where it all stems from for myself. Uh, I am, as we sing, here it goes again. We're singing from, I'm singing from the inside, the spiritual man.
Hmm.
And that's light, because if any man has given his life to Christ, it says that he's a new creature.
Right.
Old things are passed away, all things become new. We
Mhm.
have now been reborn, right? We have the Spirit of God. So we can, when we're walking by the Spirit of God, you can have that discernment, like, or who you're collaborating with. So I've been mindful of my collaboration, and when it comes to working with music, I'm gonna pray and believe, hey, there's other people out there that is going to be able to be where, there's that oneness in spirit, that we can work together because we all have something in common. We all are like-minded. We are wanting to bring our gifts and talents to the glory of God. So it really starts with, I feel like my spirit lining up with the agenda of God. And the music comes out beautifully. You can have the drum, you can have the chords, but
Right.
where is that? Where's that coming from?
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So, are you you're single, right?
Yes, I'm still single, Mike.
Okay. So does that, like, what has that been like in your artist journey? Or does it play a part in your artist journey, being a single young lady in
Mhm,
this industry? Even in this, it's somewhat male dominated,
mhm,
and you know they have certain ways of doing things, I guess.
mhm.
Does it play a role? Have you found that it has a place in what you're doing? Like, what's that like, being a single woman in this industry as an artist?
Yes, yes. I have to say it's very challenging. Um, and because I'm like, at times I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'll come up against some resistance, or because I'm a single woman, or coming into the gospel scene, and here I am, a Mexican woman. I mean, there's some
Mm-hmm.
things that you just, I can pick up on, but or just trying to try to get the door shut on me, or not taking me seriously, or if there's an event coming up and it's just not gelling very well, there's a lack of integrity, and you see a lot of attitudes, and it's all about like the appearance, and it's, and for myself, I'm like, okay, that's going on, but I have somebody who's far greater, who's going to help me navigate through this, and that is God alone. He's my source. That's my dependency. That's my reliance. And so it takes me a while. I don't make decisions right away. I will consider it, and I'm waiting on God, like, okay, what's the next step in this process?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, it can be a little male dominated, or just like I said, a lack of integrity. You see a lot of compromising, um, and it's very much accepted in the gospel arena. I see, but for myself, it's, am I walking this out? And I do have a greater source, somebody who I can call on to help me navigate. But it is quite difficult, Mr. Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
because there's times I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. But since I've been, how God is bringing me through the gospel music scene,
Mm-hmm.
I have met some amazing people of God, some gospel music ministers that are really setting the presidency, and they're not compromising, and they're encouraging me, and they are looking out for me and giving me that support. So there's some connections going on, and I just appreciate those people.
Okay, awesome. So as far as Proclaim is concerned, let's talk about the single a bit.
Yeah, let's.
Um, first, I got a two-pronged question. So the first part of that two-pronged question, um, Proclaim. Uh, what does that mean to you? Um, what is that? What is how is that defined by you when it comes to the actual song, the actual project, or the actual
Mhm.
offering? What did it mean to you, and what was the process like? And the second part of that question is what has the reception been like for since you've released since you've released the single? Has there been a pronounced change
That process.
in your life since you've released it?
Yes. Proclaim is a very special sound. And
Hmm.
it's very personal and intimate. It's comes from a place of intimacy and worship and acknowledgement to God. It's a worship song. And and that was in collaboration again with my music producer and friend, Aloysius Aquibo. I had we had a music event. I was in Lagos, Nigeria in 2021. And I remember we were preparing for this worship experience, and he shared with me this song. He was going through some very trying times,
Hmm.
and he sat there at the keyboard. He was like, Sister Valerie, he was like, let me share this song with you. I was at camp. When they go to camp, they're leaving their space, they're leaving their home to get away, some of them, to go have time with God in prayer and interceding and fasting. And he
Hmm.
shared with me Proclaim, and we're sitting there, and it just like my we were together and felt we were just singing together, and I just picked it up so easily.
Hmm.
And there was an inspiration from the Holy Spirit that led us to collaborate together. And there was more of a sound different. There was more verbiage coming from it. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That song there is, we're people of God, and His kingdom is within us, and we're declaring we're proclaiming and declaring the name of the Lord.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, with the state of the sound of, well, let me rephrase. Okay, so lately I've been like really asking this question to many of the ministry friends that I have and artist friends that I have and that have been on this, excuse me, have been on this platform. Um, Over the last few years, the ministry has changed a lot, has evolved, I would even say, um, into a more grassroots, more practical type of uh, of offering. The expression of ministry is different, like even down to how music is presented, how artists are presented, even down to how they dress. It used to be suited and booted, but now it's, sneakers and jeans and ripped jeans and, you know, baseball hats and whatever. It's more of a relaxed and more of a relaxed presentation. And even down to the music, like the lyrics and the words that are expressed are more simple concepts than what I've heard in the past.
Mm-hmm.
People, groups like Maverick City and groups like that who have kind of revolutionized this uh
Mm-hmm.
Woodstock type of gospel, if you would. Um, when I listen to your music, it seems to be um, very heartfelt, and it kind of reminds me of what I used to hear before. Um, do you feel like the music has evolved into like I described? And if you do feel that way, is it a challenge? Has it ever been
Mm-hmm.
a challenge for you to like not pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
what's trending when it comes to your creative process, because you're looking at artist X over here, and
Mm-hmm.
he or she seems to be a little further ahead of you with their sound or whatever God has given them or whatever. Has it ever been a
Mm-hmm.
challenge for you not to kind of like, maybe if I write a little bit like this person, or maybe if I collaborate with this person, or maybe if I use a little bit more bass in my tracks, or I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah.
is that ever has that ever been a challenge for you?
I have to say, no, it has never been a challenge for me. And I had a couple of years. I had 2 years where I was not, in a scene. I was there for a while doing missions work and going to worship events, and but there was a 2 year period where my health declined and I was pretty much homebound, and I spent a lot of time like, okay, God, I I really need to know you for myself, because there's so much going out there in the music scene and in the world. And so I took some time being alone and really seeking God and asking Him to show me what you want me to learn from and stay away from. I always had this desire to do music and sing for Him. I know that's what He put inside of me a long time ago, from the time I was born. But I certainly wanted, for myself, I'm like, I just want to be the real deal. I want to be the real deal. because a couple years ago, you're hearing all kinds of things that's going on, and you're hearing about how they're behaving, and they're supposed to be representing and doing gospel music, and their characters not lining up of who they claim to be. And God bless them. We pray for them. But for myself, I need to work out my own salvation. So even before I even step back in to do music, I really needed to spend some time to hear what God had to say. And I began to see what was happening. He began to show me, okay, this is what's going on. And I'm like, well, I know you're calling me to do the music, but I need you to prepare me. And he took that time to give me the wisdom to know what is not supposed to be going on and how I should be walking this out. And trust me, when you're gonna have they're gonna be tested to be compromised. And it just takes a little bit of influence. And you just gotta, if you just accept it, it's gonna take you a little bit further, and then it goes further out. So I was never a fan of following a trend. I believe there's a trend that's going on to appease the culture, and to have that attraction and be relatable. But I truly believe, now that God has opened up the door, it's time to come out. I didn't get here because I forced my way to be here, or I was chasing anybody down. This just happened, and I believe it was a God who led us here. So I have, even with the way I dress, I'm like, wow, if I'm really going to do this, I want to be able to have that, be modest, because the Bible talks about us women being modest, not wearing all these stilettos and looking like, some of the girls in the music videos, and getting sexy
Uh-oh.
and appealing to the crowd.
Uh-oh.
That's not what he's called us to do.
Uh-oh.
And
Okay, we're going into some dangerous. No,
Look,
go ahead. No,
I'm not here to tickle the ears of the people. I'm here to say what is and what it is, and what is the truth. And but yes, absolutely. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the music. They do hard work too, but I don't compare myself. If I'm looking, if I'm getting ready to work on the next project, my eyes are not on the people and what they're doing. I want the sound to come from heaven. I want God to give me the words that's going to minister and impact that soul, impact the lives of the people. That's what I'm here to do.
Well, okay. We treaded on some dangerous ground right there. I was gonna, but seriously though, I was gonna ask you. I was getting to that point, as far as addressing this, particularly when we talk about women of color like yourself. There are certain attributes that people of color have that others don't. They have the curvier figures, and things that they genetically just can't, you can't help.
Yes.
And
got some shape and curves.
Right, you have shape and curve, and so it's almost like you can't win, because like when you even if you try to go the modest route, it's sometimes you just can't help it. You just are who you are. But when I speak to a lot of artists about this, and I have a myriad of responses. Some people say, are like you, they say, modest. Some go as far as to say no jewelry, no makeup, no, whatever. But then on the other side, I have ones that'll say, listen, if I have Gucci and Prada and whatever, I'm gonna, wear it because I'm representing a God that is rich in houses and land, and I'm portraying a God that will bless you, that will keep you, that will provide for you, that will make provision for you. And how can I do that if I'm looking, a certain type of way? You know what I'm saying? I have to exemplify in part, you know, what I'm trying to portray to the people. And so, that's why, eventually I was going to get to asking you about that and what your thoughts were. Um,
Yes.
well, I mean, do you have any other thoughts about that, or?
Well, I do. And I think about Howard, you talked about dangerous, you're stepping on dangerous grounds. Well, I I don't look at it as dangerous grounds. I believe that because we have been silent and a lot of people, a lot of Christians have just been going with the flow and haven't is taken a stand, and just being able to voice it, being able to speak what is God, what does the Bible have to say? We should be teaching other people, right? Because God's word is life. His way it's the way. Your
Mhm.
word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And his word can keep us in a safe place where it's a good place when you're hearing the truth and the encouragement. I don't believe if there was more of us out there, and now and I've been seeing recently there are others out there that are talking about these topics and really and they're having these discussions, and we should. If we would have been having these conversations and not being shy and held back, I think it could have really, we wouldn't see a lot of things that's going on in our nation, in our churches. And so I'm not here for the status quo. I'm here to speak in love and speak the truth. And our kids are watching us. So if I'm out there and the teenagers or even the little kids or younger women or women, then I'm going to be that example.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, who were you most surprised to find out knew who you were, or was aware of your ministry?
Can you repeat that question, Mike?
I said, who were you most surprised to find out was aware of you and your ministry? Who knew about you that you were surprised even knew that you existed, or knew that you were on their radar as far as your ministry is concerned?
Hmm. Hmm. I've met some wonderful people along the way, and it just came by serving. Yeah, serving, coming along other people, booking for other gospel ministers, gospel singers like Elijah St. James.
Hmm.
I've done an interview with like Frank Edwards. He's known worldly, international gospel artist. He's very influential. But just having the opportunity to meet these people, I would have to say I was just serving. So I don't know. I'm not surprised of people. I've never heard anybody telling me, "Hey, telling me about they're surprised about what I'm doing."
Well,
But
no. What I'm asking is, were you surprised? Like, did somebody come along, right, and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, your music touched me," or "I enjoyed your ministry," or whatever, and you were surprised that they even knew who you were?
Oh yeah, yeah. After spending a few times in Nigeria
Hmm.
and doing ministry work and ministering and singing, and then coming back to the United States, coming back home, and and to hear that they're listening to my songs,
Hmm.
from different parts of the country. That was really surprising. A lot of the support, a lot of the followers are from parts of Africa, and I really had to be really mindful of, because I was really shocked that there was that many people listening to the music and being blessed with it, and how it's ministered to them, and it's been uplifting. So yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So who is Valerie Montanez's dream collaboration?
Who is my dream collaborate? Who I want to sing with?
Yes. Who would you like to, who would you most like to do a song with, if you could?
If I could, I would love to sing with Frank Edwards. I'd like to sing with Eben. They're gospel ministers. Tim Godfrey, Tim Godfrey is another international God. I mean, they're just. I've seen them. I've watched them live, and I've met three of them, all three of them.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what, they've got a voice on them, and they've got a ministry, and it's impactful. And they've got a lot of music that is just inspiring, on fire. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sing with them one of these days. Danny Goki is another one. I don't know if you heard of Danny Goki.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that man has a voice on him. So he's another one. Cece Winans, she's somebody I look up to. She is definitely she's just been such a blessing and an impact in the gospel music. What an example and a role model.
So is Proclaim, is that the part of a larger project that's coming, or is that just a single that's going to stand on its own, and then later on maybe? I mean, what's next?
Okay. So Proclaim was done like in 2021 in Nigeria, 2022.
Yeah, but I understand that. But I
You went
also
into the studio, and then I.
I also understand that music has a funny way of circulating. Sometimes it's what they call a slow burn,
Mhm.
where some of the music that we hear now that they consider hits and things of that nature. When you talk to the artist, they say, "Man, that song's been out for 3 years. But it's just reaching the point where it is now." So like, I never look
Yes.
at I never look at a body of work um, in the in terms of time, because I
Hmm.
know because I know that I know how that can actually work. Um,
You're right on point with me. That's where I was going. I heard from God that don't even leave it alone. Like it was there, right? I didn't do. There was no promotion. There was no pushing, and I just knew it wasn't time. Sometimes it's just like it's not for now, but it's going to be for a certain particular time where God wants to launch it out. And this song Proclaim today, it's like a brand new worship song.
mhm.
It's trending, it's getting out there. We had a music video that we did in Lagos, Nigeria. There was a major accident, Mike, and it destroyed like the footage and all of that. So there's a music project. The video still needs to be done. We're doing the radio version right now. That worship song has received two awards from the Rhythm of Gospel Awards, and that was like I didn't even see that coming. I didn't even try to make my way. I wasn't forcing my way, and that was a door, a platform that God was announcing to the gospel scene. And here I am today, still working on it, and it's making headway. It's getting noticed. It's being heard. People are being blessed. And after this, we're already getting ready to work on a new project, the next single. But you're absolutely right. It's something. It's like it's something that's just kind of circulate. It's waiting to be circulated, and it may have been written 2 or 3 years ago. But I've heard like even with Sinach, she had as one of her songs, Miracle Waymaker, Miracle Worker. That song was written years ago,
Yeah,
years ago,
absolutely.
and like years later, it's out there. It's all over the world.
Absolutely. So here you are in this industry, and you've created a work that has stood true to basically traditional um, Christian values, and people are being reached, and as you said earlier, you don't really subscribe to trends. You just kind of, you allow God to plant the seed. If plant the
Mhm.
seed, and then you kind of go from there. What would you say is something that you learned about yourself that you didn't really know about yourself going into the whole process? What have you realized about yourself that like I said, that you may not have realized?
That I really do have a gift, and I really can sing. And there was a lot of insecurities because I didn't have a lot of encouragement, and even singing in different places, different churches. I was getting so much opposition. Like, I'm being told, hey, quiet down, don't sing. You're going to kind of freak out the people. And I'm being, like, criticized and being limited and turning the microphones and turning off. There's just, there was a lot of things, jealousy, envy, all those things that are going on to try to deter me. And, there was just so much. I was a really broken person at that time walking through, and I'm just trying to answer the calling and following of what God was calling me to do. Now, looking back today, I'm a complete different woman. I feel I'm stronger today. I know that what I'm supposed to be doing on this earth is to be that example of Christ and bring the music and be an influence and be a blessing to the people for God.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this question, and it's going to might sound a bit unusual, but do you feel like you've mastered the art of being regular? And what I mean by that is sometimes church
Wow,
folk,
that's an interesting question.
yeah, church folk can be. Our intention is to be committed, and as we should. Our intention is to serve God and be obedient and walk in a way that is pleasing, and that's right. However, um, sometimes we can be a bit pious in our process to try to be
Mhm.
in the will, if you will, um, and, like, in other words, can I have a conversation with you that doesn't involve church or gospel music? Can we talk about the game? Can we talk about, the weather? Can we talk about,
Of course.
what happened on the game show? You know what I mean? I think that sometimes
Yeah.
we forget to be regular, and that's kind of what I mean by the question that I'm asking you. Like, do you feel like you are you've mastered the art of being? Do you have the ability, or is it challenging for you to be regular?
I'm just a human. I'm just, like I said, I'm just a woman. Like, seriously, I love to have intellectual conversations with people for myself. I really, really do. I want I would love to just, I like having just conversations and getting to know somebody for who they are and hearing them out, and being able to have those relationships, those conversations, fun activities. No, is the it doesn't always have to be about the talk, Mike.
Mhm.
It doesn't. It really is, and we all come short of the glory of God.
Right.
And it's about your walk, your own personal walk.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm here trying. Yeah, I'm trying to work out my own salvation. But Valerie likes to laugh. I like to have some fun. I like to
Right.
joke, and get to hear what my kids, what's going on with them, how I could connect with them and have fun with them, find out their interests. But yes, I'm not into football, but we can
Or
talk. We
yeah,
can find different topics.
yeah, yeah. I find that people in your position where, and when I say your position, I mean you're basically the boss of your thing. Like everything that happens within that Valerie Montanez movement is up to Valerie Montanez. So you're basically um, the boss or the leader in every facet of what you're doing. So you're used to being in that mode of making decisions. Okay, the music is going to go here. I'm going to perform here. I'm going to do this podcast tonight. So you're constantly making decisions and you're moving around. You're moving the Valerie Montanez movement. And so but then when you're just chilling, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it hard to turn that off? You know what I'm saying? Because you're in a space where things don't happen unless you say so. You know what I mean? And so is it a challenge for you once you're in those settings where it has nothing to do with music, it has nothing to do with anything that you're doing professionally, you're just
Mhm.
kicking. You know what I'm saying? Is it hard to just
Mhm. It used to be. It used to be because being a single mom, I've just been somebody who's had to, work hard and, try, I had 4 kids to attend to. But in this season of my life, I am at a place where, okay, on the weekends, look, that's my family time. If there isn't an event going on, then I really do. I live a simple life. I like to be at home. I like to have my privacy. I like to be around people who I can have fun with, and I don't just make the decisions on my own. My kids have been a part of this ministry. They are my ministry,
Mhm.
so they have come along my side since they were little. When I was doing women's conferences, and they're escorting, and they're going out there sponsoring, getting promote, so they're pretty innovative. They work along with me. We discuss matters, even like, okay, what do you think about this event? I just got invited, and I've had to recently decline a couple of them just recently. And I don't just go ahead and make the decision. I'll ask God. I'm asking him. He's my chief. He's my commander. Like, he's the one I'm going to ask, give me the green light. Is this what you want me to do? And then I know I'll wait a little bit. And
Okay.
if I have anything in my spirit, that's just, I know I'm like, no, it could be just maybe not now. So I'm learning to have that balance and really relying on God. Like, okay, do I need to decline? Is this the place to go? Because not every opportunity is a God opportunity.
Mm,
And I have counselors, I have people, I have good friends in my circle that and they're also doing the work, and their music, they're gospel ministers, and they've been an influence. I mean, they have really been giving me such wise advice, and giving me that support, and I can give them a call. So I slow treadly, like, behind the scenes, and I live a simple life.
awesome. 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 What would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
I guess we'd have to ask some people out there.
So nobody said, "Oh, well, you know what? You're nice. I thought you were, you know what I'm saying? Or you're funny. I thought you were, you know what I'm saying?" And nobody, you never got that from anybody that, they may have thought you were one way until they met you.
Yeah, I have. I remember when I went to Nigeria, and there's just so many people at that conference. There's a lot of young women, so many people there, and you know, they're just kind of looking at me, and I would just start going up to them, start talking to them, and I want to be around some people. I love being able to hear, just being able to get to know people. And here I am in Africa, and then they started to get a little bit closer to me. And so they were really surprised that I was,
Approachable.
humble, very
Yeah.
down to earth, relatable, not somebody who's, because they're coming out here in the scene, and I, because we encounter that sometimes where it's almost like a celebrity status, or I don't look at it that way. I'm just like you. I'm a woman, and I care, and I love I love people, and yeah, so that's just it.
Awesome. 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 So when people listen to, your ministry, if you could have it your way, right? What would you want people to go away? What would you want people to know about you after hearing your music? Not necessarily meeting you, but
Mhm,
if they can never meet you, the only representation they have is your ministry.
mhm.
What would be the paramount thing that you would want them to go away knowing about you or thinking about you, just strict solely based on your music?
That there is this sound is coming from a loving place, from my heart. Like there's a compassion, and they are going to be touched. They're going to be touched by that sound and that voice, and it's going to uplift their spirits, and they're going to hear even the depthness of where I'm singing. There's a depthness, and from my belly, from my soul, and then it's genuine, and it's going to lift burdens, and it's going to, people are going to walk away being more encouraged and their spirits uplifted.
Mhm. Awesome. 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 So this is my last official question for you. It's a question I'll ask every single guest. So I just take a moment to think about it. Once I ask it, just take a minute and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. Um, the question is this: what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for
Mhm.
you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
So my life is it should be growing. Yeah. It ain't about accomplishments for myself.
Mhm.
It's not about achievements for myself.
Okay.
For myself, it's not about getting any awards, although I'm grateful for it. Um, but success for me is being able to overcome the challenges. Success for me is being able to can't consider life that I'm living, and that today I'm, because my life could have been taken away some years ago.
Hmm.
I have so much to celebrate. I've, the healing that's been taking place, restoration that's been happening in my life. My success doesn't come from myself. My success, it comes from God. And as He builds me up, I see different steps and different, but it gets harder. Being able to overcome those major challenges and storms in life, and saying, "Hey, I stood through that. I walked it out. I overcame." And then you see, okay, that you've grown from it. So for me, it's like that's success. Growing growing and getting better in life, and being an impact, and wanting to be able to fulfill what I've been called to do on this earth.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Well, Miss Valerie, I thank you for coming on the podcast. I definitely feel like we just scratched the surface, of everything. And that's like the tough part about this is like, man, like I've got so much more. But at this point, I just want to but with that being said, I just want to let you know that there's an open invitation for you to come back whenever you want. If there's something that you want to promote or you want to talk about, something that you're doing, putting out, any movement that you're backing or supporting, please, we'll make room and say, hey, come on and tell us what you got, show us what you got. If somebody wanted um, to get in touch with you. So maybe they heard something on this interview that resonated with them. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe they want to book you for something. I don't know, whatever they want to do to reach out. How can they reach out? How can they get in contact with you?
I've been using Facebook for a very long time. So all you have to do is just type in my name, Valerie Montanez, and you'll find me there. They can always message me. My phone number is up in there too, but my phone number is 210-975-8864. I'm also on Instagram, Val Royalty underscore. So they can get in contact with me that way.
Okay. So what's next? What's next? Do you have any events coming up? Any concerts or shows coming up?
Well, the next event I'm getting ready to prepare for is the 27th Texas Excellence Gospel Awards show that's coming up in February. So
Okay.
I'm going to be singing there. So that's what I'm going to be working towards here in the next couple of months.
Awesome.
And then with my single project that I'm working on.
Awesome. Well, again, Miss Valerie, I thank you for coming on and sharing with us. I appreciate your honesty and your transparency, and I just really love your. I just love how you are. Like you are so there's life. Like I can see life in your eyes. There's life. Like you have like an intensity about yourself, and it's like it's awesome. It's awesome, and you don't get to see it a lot. You know what I mean? But I see that focus. You know what I mean? And that's amazing.
Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure. You're doing great work out here,
Thank you. Thank you.
and I just pray that you'll continue to keep up the good work. There's more coming your way, and I would be absolutely honored to be a part of this show again. And we can just go a little bit deeper. So get ready.
All right. All right. Well, I appreciate you and thank you so much. And we'll definitely be in touch. And like I said, I definitely would love to have you on again.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a good night and an awesome weekend.
Good night.
There you go, guys. Another awesome guest, another interview. Shout out to Miss Valerie Montanez. Please check out her single "Proclaim" and "Brand New." They're both amazing works of ministry. I believe that I posted the link in the comment section. Please check it out. She's an amazing artist, an amazing person who truly is committed and truly loves God and truly wants to serve and truly wants to create a work that is pleasing and impactful. So please support her. You should look her up, check her out, reach out, you know, post and share her music and her content because she definitely is the real deal. As usual, before that, I want to thank everybody who thought it not robbery to come and check us out. I thank those that are those in advance who are going to watch the playback later. And as always, man, I encourage you guys to step out on faith and do that thing that God has placed within your belly to do. If now is as good a time as any for everything that God gives vision for. He provides provision, but it takes the step from you, from me, from us to make it happen. Um, I truly believe that there's a remnant of folks that are attached to each and every one of us, and they're depending on us to go left, right, up, or down. Certain decisions that we make have souls attached to them, which makes the decisions that we make that much more important. that much more poignant, that much more imperative that we make the right decisions and do the right things. So with that being said, stand up and whatever it is. So if it's to write a song, if it's to write a script, if it's to get a certain job or a degree, whatever it is, step out and do that thing. Be that thing. You may not be an architect right now, but speak those things as though they are, that are not as though they are. You know what I mean? Because God is showing, that if he's giving you the vision to do that, you can be that. It's already in you. We are walking seeds, and as we know, that seeds usually carry everything that they need to become whatever they're going to be. So, an apple tree starts from from an apple seed, and so an apple seed, in order for that seed to become a tree, it has to contain everything that it needs to become that tree. So, go out. You may not have the funds right now. You may not have the connections, but you still have to go outside. My pastor said one time that when David faced Goliath, when he initially faced Goliath, all he had was a slingshot. He didn't have any rocks. He didn't have anything to even put in the slingshot. All he had was the slingshot. It wasn't until he arrived for the battle. He had to arrive at the battle first. And then that's when he found the rocks, the stones. But had he not shown up for the battle, he wouldn't have been equipped to fight. So sometimes we have to go to the war almost unarmed, because the artillery is in the battle. So with that being said, man, so with that being said, don't ponder on what you don't have, because whatever you need is in you, and God made it that way. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys again for coming out and checking us out. And shout out to Ms. Valerie Montanez again. Please support her ministry, support her music, support whatever she's doing. If she just takes a picture and smiles, hit like. If she, whatever, you know what I mean? Support her, support. That's the name of the game. So with that being said, man, thank you, everybody. Let's take a walk.